So we've been having a conversation about way of being, and I want to suggest that we pivot and talk about how is that developed? How does that happen?
Well, there's something about responding well to the challenges that come our way that actually helps, God uses to create in us a stronger, purer way of being, something that resembles his own son, Christ.
I would say that while I've been aware of the conversation about way of being, that, as you alluded to a second ago, it's the experience of and response to difficulty and challenge that I suspect forms the kind of capacity to change, to shift. So think about this too. So you have the disruption of COVID and the decline of church attendance, which has been dramatic. I would say, again, of the 50, 60 churches that I'm close to in relationship, they're probably averaging down 30 to 40% in in-person attendance. And I would say giving is probably down 15% from pre-COVID levels. Held up really well during COVID.
Right.
But since COVID, the exhaustion has hit. People are not coming back, and their giving has finally begun to drop off.
Yeah.
Which now I'm coaching people about having to cut staff, you know, and make those kind of things. But here's another thing, is the freaking political polarization.
Yeah.
That, again, in the dozens of congregations that I'm connected to, which are all over the theological map, you know, from Pentecostal and charismatic, fundamentalist, mainstream or mainline, you know, Wesleyan,
Everywhere.
Methodist, all that, right? Lutheran, Baptist, the whole thing. Used to be people, it seemed like people were following Jesus and they had a political preference. Now it seems like the political preference is the primary thing that they're identified with and organized around, which is super distressing because we've been pouring our lives out to shape the life of Christ in our people, and now we're finding that they won't even fellowship with one another based on who they voted for or based on their opinion of this or that political thing. You know, not even spiritual thing, not even godliness, but now somehow politics have trumped that, and that's been super devastating. And so here's my question for you guys, and really for anyone listening, is what do you notice about your way of being as you're walking through these last 3-4 years? Because they have been a teeth kicker for just about every one of us.
Yeah. I can certainly say that there have been times when I would say I had a Christ-like way of being, but there have been a lot of times when I had a me-centered way of being that really wasn't honoring God's call in my life. You know, I mean, for us, we don't have offering and church staff, but we're donor-funded missionaries. Everything that we do is because we have people who are choosing to fund the work that we do and believe in it. And all of those people are going through the same things that congregations are going through. And, you know, there's donation, people can't donate who had donated before, and not because, you know, of anything bad, but it happens. And then I know in my own heart, I start to think, non-Christ-like way of being things, just, you know, that don't really reflect a God's got this attitude, to be honest. And, you know, you guys started sharing this idea that when we face these challenges, it's how we face them. What's our way of being like in the midst of them that is, you know, are we facing them with Christ-like character? Are we facing them maybe less than that really cultivates this way of being in us? And it's interesting. I almost feel like there's always things that are going right and going wrong, but the last few years have been so tumultuous that all of this stuff was already going on below the surface, just unexposed.
Yeah.
And it's just because, like, it's almost like this, the world that is happening, everything that's going on, political whirlwinds, financial whirlwinds, pandemics that's been happening, it's just exposed this stuff that was already lying latent in me, in Nick, in pastors we know, and not just, it's just interesting to think about that our way of being sucked before it just wasn't being shown off as much externally.
Right.